Hello, I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international social etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books, Etiquette, the Least You Need to Know, and Afternoon Tea Etiquette. If you would like to order my books, you can do so directly on my website. I'll link it here as well in the description box below. They are available for international worldwide shipment. In today's video, I'm going to address something that was commonly asked by my audience, is how to gracefully and politely handle criticism or negativity, or how to deal with toxicity around you, with toxic people. So today's video is for those that have requested it, and if you're interested, make sure that you make yourself a good cup of tea, come sit close, and let's talk about some of the ways that we can handle negativity. The first and the hardest, yet the most effective way of handling negative and toxic people and criticism is by simply ignoring it. Nothing works as much as your ignorance of it, as if it doesn't exist. If you do not deal with it, if you do not pay attention to these people, if you do not read your negative comments, negativity, that reality is not yours. It doesn't exist in your reality. I've noticed that a lot of people that are busy, celebrities and successful business people that are busy, their lives or schedules are super tight. They don't have time to read comments people write to them. And oftentimes it's the best way to handle things. When you don't know, you don't read, you have no idea what's going on, the ignorance is a bliss. It's exactly particularly relevant in this case. If you do not notice this, if you don't read these comments, they don't exist in your reality. It is much easier said than done, I understand it, but it definitely works magically. It's much easier to do it when it's in a written form of communication. Say, you don't read the comments, you can, not read an email, you can choose to ignore a message. So it's much easier to ignore it when it's written, but it's very hard to handle it when it's done in person. I actually had a recent case over the summer. I was with my kids at the pool and this bench was empty. So I approached, put my towels and sat down there with my daughter while watching my son swim. And then this woman approached me. She said, this was my area. And I said, well, I didn't see your name on it. I didn't see anything on it. So there was no towel, nothing on it. How would I know that it was yours? And she was very furious. She got very angry. And my tone was always very calm and composed. I was just explaining that it was empty. So she was so heated up that she could not stop ranting. She just went on and on and on. And all I did is I just sat there and I just kept on reading my book. And my daughter was sketching. She was a little bit further away from me. So I just completely ignored her existence. And I think that made her even more furious. So she just couldn't stop ranting. Of course, it was very difficult for me to concentrate on my reading, but I was mentally telling myself it's not worth engaging into this discussion. It will lead to nothing. You can tell that a person is not adequate. The person is just full of anger and toxicity. Instead of trying to reason with this person, I decided to focus on my reading and ignore her existence. So in my reality, she did not exist. And that really helped me, I think, in this moment, because I think if I engage into this discussion with her, it would lead me the whole day feeling completely emptied and drained. If you can, you have to train yourself to mentally block any kind of negativity when experienced in person. If the person is ranting on you, try to think of something completely different. If you have a book, focus on the book. If you have a phone in your hands, just keep on scrolling their phone, completely trying to detangle yourself and not pay attention to the person that is pouring this toxicity on you. Or if you can, stand up and walk away. Once you remove yourself from the situation, that situation doesn't exist in your reality. So ignorance is a bliss when it comes to dealing with negativity. The second technique that works like magic, and I'll give you some examples to understand it better, is to avoid eye contact with the person that is ranting, pouring out negativity, insulting you, being hateful, being angry, just all this. When they're pouring it all into you, try to avoid eye contact with this person if you can. Look away, look around, don't look in their eye, because when you gaze into someone's eye, you allow them to enter into your mind and soul. The more eye contact you have with the person when they are ranting and furious with you, the more you allow their message, their words, their energy to get into you. You know how eyes are souls to our windows to our souls. So blocking this, shielding your eyes from experiencing that, from letting that come into you, will really go a long way. Have you ever noticed that it's very difficult to say no to a person when you are having an in-person conversation? It's very difficult to say no or to reject someone. It's much easier to do so over the phone or email. And the reason is because when we are in person and we look into someone's eye, it's very difficult to be able to put those boundaries. It's almost like we let them into our body, we let them into our soul. They kind of get into our head when they look into our eyes. So it's very important to learn to manipulate your gaze in a way that you can interrupt that eye contact. If this is someone who is super close to you and you don't feel comfortable, you think, okay, like, how am I not supposed to look in their eye? If it's, say, your employer who's like really negative and really like pouring all this criticism at you, try to look away from time to time. Do not maintain a continuous eye contact with this person. Another example I would use to explain this better would be, for example, have you ever noticed, like, if you walk on the street and there's like someone who wants to hand this free brochures and like you really don't want to take it, or something they're handing off or marketing something and you don't want to be interrupted or stopped. If for a second you have an eye contact with a person who is handing out these pamphlets or are promoting something, they're going to take you on this. They're going to approach you, they're going to hand in the pamphlet, they're going to talk to you. But if you do not look in their eye, if you avoid the eye contact, they'll be hesitant to approach you. So eyes are windows to your soul. So make sure to protect your eyes from people that are being hateful and critical and toxic to you. If someone, however, ends up looking at you and insulting you or saying something really hateful or angry or negative to you and you had this eye contact, break the eye contact for a second, then get back to looking at them and then remain silent. Your gaze will tell them a lot more than any of your words could possibly do. You remain silent and maintain the eye contact after you've broken it. And I assure you that silence will be the goldest of them all, because the silence will make them ponder for the rest of the time, what is it that you wanted to say but you didn't. Let them wonder what is it that you didn't say, rather than say what you want to say and then having them use this against you, or having fed them that emotion that they were expecting to get from you. So the person that's pouring onto you these emotions of anger, of hatefulness, of toxic words or whatever, or energy, they're expecting something in return. That's how it works. They're telling it to you so you can pour something back, and they're feeding on that negativity or that emotion that you're giving back to them. So they're almost charging on that. And when you remain silent, you're not giving them the food that they need to feed on to. And that silence will make them ponder, what is it that you didn't say? And that is really gold. The next 3 techniques of handling insults and hateful comments or anything negative comes with the use of language. And the way you're going to use it is you're going to incorporate a body movement and a language. So the first example would be if someone says something like, oh, you're so, you're so ugly, for example. You look at them then in the eye. You look intentionally into their eye. Say you weren't listening or you weren't looking at them. If they say something like that, you put your gaze into them and you say, are you okay? Let them feel this, whatever that they are feeling. They might have had a bad day, or they're trying to intentionally hurt you. Whatever it is that they're experiencing, are you okay, is going to let you know what is it that made them say it. The second thing that you can do is, again, look in their eye. If they say something really bad, nasty, wasn't nice, look at them and say, can you tell that again, please? I didn't hear it. Or I wasn't listening. Can you say it again? let them repeat what they said. If, for example, they repeat what they said, or said, oh, I said you are ugly. Say again, can you please say it again? And they'll say, I said you are ugly. And then you say, I didn't hear you well, can you say it again? You make them repeat what they said 3, 4, whatever amount of times that they're ready to repeat until they sound like fools. And that message that they repeat on and on and on does not affect you in any way. They will make themselves look foolish by repeating themselves way many times. And the interesting thing is that people hate repeating themselves. People don't like to be asked to say what they said again and again because it makes them now feel insecure about their voice, the way they said it. They start doubting what they said. So instill that doubt in the person who is saying nasty things. The third way of using a language and body movement is having a direct eye contact, again, an intentional one, and then asking the person, why did you say it? When the person, this will help you with 2 things. First, sometimes it could have been that the person's first language is a different one and maybe they were translating to a second language that they're speaking with you and it didn't come off right. So this will allow them to explain themselves better to you. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt you. Maybe it just came off a little bit rude because this is not their first language and they had to translate it in their mind and then translate it to a language that they're speaking with you. But if they meant it, this will allow you to clarify, to repeat themselves again. So as we mentioned in the second case, to repeat themselves. So saying, I said you were ugly. And then you say, why did you say it? And they say, well, I said you're ugly because I don't like your face. And then you say, why did you say? Why don't you? And you go on why and why and why. And this will really diminish the amount of negativity that is being poured on you with their first short statement of you are ugly. Interestingly, if a person says, I don't like your face, you say, oh, why don't you like my face? And they go on saying something. And at one point you'll say, well, I see that you're a very hurt person, or I see you're not feeling well today. I feel like you're not really happy with yourself, so I will not take it as an offense. Or, I see that you've had a bad day, or I don't see you as a good person for saying this thing. I would rather walk away right now. So let the person know what you felt, because once you've allowed them to explain themselves, you've almost given them a chance to redeem themselves. And if they have redeemed themselves, then you let them go and say, well, in this language you don't say it like this. If you want to say something, you say it this way. So if their intention was not to hurt you. But if they keep on reasoning to you as to why they said you are ugly or why your face is not something they like, and they haven't redeemed themselves, then you cut it there. You let them know that it's not okay to talk to you like that, and you understand that this person comes from a troubled place, from a hurt place, or this person is not being nice. You let them know how you feel. You're being very affirmative in your tone, and you put a full stop at the end of your sentence. You say, you know what? I don't like what you said. I think it's very dismissive of you to be saying this, and I'm no longer going to stay in this room. And you walk away. If you say, well, I don't really like what you said, so I'm not going to really talk to you, it's not going to make you sound like you know what you're talking about. Keep your tone affirmative and learn to draw the boundaries with your words. The next technique that you can use in order to deal with hatefulness and criticism and this anger, whatever it is that is pouring on you, is to taking control of your emotions, remaining calm and composed. If someone is, coming after you and they're angry and they're furious and they're like pouring all this on you, by remaining calm and composed, you're doing 2 things. You're not allowing, or you're not giving them the response that they're expecting to get to feed on to, that's their energy, that's the food that they're getting to deal. They're giving you all that anger, so you respond, so they respond. You're not allowing this exchange of energy to happen. And what it also helps with is, even though you might not be really winning the argument, or maybe you might not be right in this case, it always makes an impression like you're the right one. Because when the person who is like screaming the most or being the most emotional and heated, that person with juxtaposing with your calm and composed presence, in this juxtaposition, you feel or they feel like you're winning the argument, and that makes them even more angry. I'll give you an example. If there is like an interrogator and there's a suspect, the interrogator almost always keeps the same tone and the same calmness and composure. And the suspect, if the suspect is guilty, they're going to be screaming and being very emotional and being all over the place. And when you're watching this scene, you realize who is the one in charge, who is the person in charge in the room. And it's almost always the person who remains calm and composed, no matter what the heatful argument debate is going over. Perhaps even sometimes the person who's being the heated one is actually right in the argument, but visually and emotionally, it's often interpreted as the calm and composed one is the one who's winning it. And the final way of dealing with toxic people, with hate and criticism, especially when it comes in person. If it's online, you can always just block the person, ignore the person, delete the person from your account, completely forget about their existence. If this is in person, it's much more difficult to deal with, especially when it's family, if someone close by. But the way you can do it is remove yourself physically from that space. You should learn to walk away whenever you feel like your body or your mind cannot take it anymore. Walk away, do so confidently, turn around, stand up and leave. No one should take your presence for granted. Your presence is a gift to someone else's life. Your presence in their life, your presence in that room is a moment to be shared. And if they're not appreciating this, if they're not being nice to you, if they're being intentionally hurtful to you, they don't deserve your presence. So learn to walk away whenever you don't feel comfortable. But also, if you cannot, for example, it's an employer of yours who is like being very negative about something and really affecting you, if you can't really walk away, occupy bigger space. Sit down straight, open up your chest, have a good posture, walk straight, stand straight. Physically try to occupy a larger space. When you squish like that, when you like walk in like that, when you close up your chest, when you close up your neck and you try to occupy less space, that makes you look like a victim that can be attacked more and more and more. By physically opening up your posture, your chest, your neck, your head, looking straight and occupying physically larger space, you let the person physically feel on a more subconscious level that you are not going to take what they are pouring onto you. I hope that these tips will help you in trying to deal with negativity both in person and online. You have to understand that there is no one on this planet that will protect you but yourself. And the only way that you can protect yourself is learning to draw your boundaries with people that are not being nice to you. No one deserves your niceness if they're not being nice back to you. You don't have to please everyone. Nothing in this world is ever going to please everyone. Even if you post a picture, say of a sunset or a sunrise, there's going to be someone who is going to hate that and say, oh, I hate watching sunrise, or I hate watching sunset. And so nature and sun will not stop, going up and down just because someone else doesn't like it. So enjoy your life, be true to yourself, do whatever fits you and is good for you, and stay away from people that are being toxic and are trying to ruin your life intentionally. I don't mean it when it's someone who does it unintentionally, who's just being oblivious to it, who said something but didn't mean no harm. There can be cases like that too. We all have bad days. We all have days when we're not being nice to other people. But those are exceptions. But if something is a rule, is a constant in your life, try to change it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like if you like this video so YouTube algorithm understands what kind of videos you like and helps to grow my channel. Thank you so much. And if you're interested to learn more about etiquette, join my etiquette movie and book club that's available in my Patreon club. I'll link it here as well in the description box below. I do a monthly review of etiquette movies, from etiquette standpoint of view. I've done over 20 different kind of movies. And you can also join my Western formal dining etiquette course that's available on my website with a certificate of completion. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!